Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're back downstairs in the O gauge layout. So I've been working on standard gauge a lot, taking up a lot of time, but we're back down here now to do some O gauge videos. And today we're going to go back in time. We're going to do a blast from the past, and we're going to look at this Pennsylvania Vision Line CC2S engine. And this is kind of one of the parts of the hobby I was thinking about the other day that is so cool and so mind-boggling at the same time, to me anyway. And that is the fact that I can buy an engine that was produced over a decade ago, brand new in its packaging, never removed. How is that possible? Who would buy such an expensive engine and not even open it up and look at it? I don't get it. Every single thing that I've ever purchased, I've opened up and run on my layout, right? Because I was excited to see it. But yeah, this happens all the time in our hobby where guys buy these pieces, these very expensive engines a lot of times. They never open them. Some are completely sealed in the box. They don't even take out of the main shipper. And then one day they're sold for whatever reason. And they come back on the market, and here they are. It's like walking into a hobby store, going back in time, putting your money down and grabbing it just like the day it came out. So really mind-boggling to me that that happens, but it does all the time, and it's very cool at the same time because it allows people like me who either weren't collecting at the time this engine came out or couldn't afford it at the time to be able to acquire it brand new, which is always nice. Of course, you can get things on the secondary market, but they tend to be scratched, broken pieces, things may not work right, who knows, right? And here you're getting just a pristine piece. So really cool and are really strange at the same time. But anyway, we are going to be looking at and unboxing this Pennsylvania Vision Line CC2 and talking about the features and all the features that were touted at the time of when this engine came out. Now almost 13, starting on the 13th year, because this was in the 2009 catalog and probably actually arrived at dealers in 2010, somewhere around there. And here we are in starting 2023, and we're going to open it up and take it out of its packaging and off its platform stands for the first time, and then give it a run. Hopefully it works. So we'll see though. But so that's what we're going to do today. We'll go over the features of the engine. We'll do a little detailed review of it. Tiny bit of history, because there's actually not a lot of information about the CC2s out there, but there's a little bit that we'll go over, and then we'll give it a run around the layout, see how she performs. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted this particular engine is because I do like articulated engines. The problem is that most of the articulated engines out there, like the Union Pacific Big Boy or the Challengers and things like that, they're huge, right? They're big, big, long engines, and my layout down here is 072 curves. And even though they will run on 072 curves without a problem, the overhang when they're going around the curves looks really horrible. But even worse, it takes out half my scenery. So, because I wasn't planning on those kind of engines when I sort of built the layout. And yeah, I mean, it takes out, it's like a plow going through a bunch of trees and stuff like that. It just takes out the whole curve, right? So I'd have to sort of redo a whole bunch of scenery. But this is an articulated engine that is much, much shorter, and so it kind of gives me the same thing I'm after. And this one has a whole bunch of very cool features on it, so we'll go over all those. So I'm sure you might have seen this engine before since it is so old, but like I said, we're going to go into the past today and open up an engine that's been sitting in its box for almost 13 years. So let's get started. Alright, so it comes in its normal black and silver Vision Line box, which actually, a lot of times when these are really old too, these are all scratched up. So this has really clean, no scratches or anything on it. Like I said, it was just pulled right out of the shipper, so nice clean box. So it's always nice to have a clean Vision Line box if you ever want to sell it. And then if we look at this, let's see, we've got the booklets and everything that goes with the engine here. We've got an original bottle of smoke fluid. That's funny. It's probably the older smoke fluid they don't even recommend anymore. It's not the premium stuff. It actually still has orange module, right? Because they did back then on the engines. I see driver nut wrench. We've got some kind of a, I don't even know what this is for, but it is a shaft, threaded shaft. And then we've got some traction tires, a couple of springs here, and a little tube it looks like. I'm not sure what that's for either, but anyway. Got some pieces here. Got the silicone packets. And then we have the packaging. Now, the CC2s came in a very unique packaging, unlike other Lionel engines. So they have these sort of like Velcro strips here. Okay, and then you gotta sort of take it out. These Velcro strips sort of come attached to these, like you basically take it out in two sections right here. And when you take them out separately and you undo the Velcro strips, they don't reattach, you pull it open and basically it's attached to this board here. Now this is interesting. I'm not sure, pull that off there. So I don't know if you can see that right there, but they're attached to these sort of display boards, and the Velcro straps are sort of attached to the bottom of those. I'm not sure why on this particular engine they decided they needed to put this engine mounted to this display board. I'm not sure if it's because it was so delicate or whatever the situation was. I don't even know, but for whatever reason they did. And you can see here, we got to unscrew it because it's right now it's attached to this, and this is the way the engine is, and then the tender is in this one. So you basically have to unvelcro them. You get the display board, and then you got to go underneath and unscrew it from the base. I have seen these before, so I know how they kind of work, and that's pretty much it. So let's get it all unattached from its base, and then we'll put it on the track and look at it. Alright, so that's the packaging. You can see they have the base on the bottom right here where the screws sort of come up and go into the engine and everything. So, first time I've ever seen this type of packaging, but it does actually make mention of it in the owner's manual, saying they did it because of the delicacy of all the pieces on the engine and stuff. So, must have been super expensive to do it. So, anyway, this is the tender. And same thing here, we got it attached to a base right here, so we're going to have to unscrew it, and then we'll pull that out. There it is. The little foam pads for the trucks. And that's pretty much it, and we'll put it on the track. Looks like it has looks like an IR sensor, so we'll check out all the features. I couldn't remember if this one had an IR sensor on it or not, but looks like it does. So, yep, there it is. Cool little tender. Alright, so there she is. So, beautiful model. We'll go over some of the details on here, but some of these details for a model that's now, you know, going on 13 years old actually surpass some of the legacy engines today. So this one they really sort of outdid themselves on. But let's just talk about the CC. Actually, we're going to talk about the CC1 first, which is not this engine. It's the predecessor to this engine, which was built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in 1912 for the Pennsylvania Railroad, and it was kind of the experimental locomotive that was predated this one. And the CC2 is a result of that experimentation with that engine, the CC1. And like I said, there was only one built. It was built in 1912. These are 0880 engines. They're Mallet type, sort of. And they're articulated compound engines. So basically, the steam, the high pressure steam, goes into the rear cylinder first, and then the exhaust, the low pressure, goes to the larger front cylinders. And so they were, I mean, they were brutes as far as like the power that they could pull. What's funny about this is when they actually did, well, first of all, the CC1 was actually scrapped in 1932. After they did all their testing and, you know, ran it around from 1912 to 1932. Pennsylvania Railroad finally scrapped it. And then we move on to the CC2, which is what you're seeing here. So there were only 10 of these built by Baldwin. They were all built in the same year, 1919, for the Pennsylvania Railroad. Again, these are Mallet type compound articulated locomotives. And the thing about these is they had so much power, but yet they were just basically used for transfer runs and working the hump in the yard. And that's pretty much it. So it was yard duty and transfer runs, right? They, as far as I know, they never saw any kind of freight, main freight or passenger types of services, right? But they were obviously extremely heavy pullers, right? So they were, I think, running all the way up to 47 to 49, 1947 to 1949, somewhere around there. And then they were all sold for scrap. So unfortunately, there are no CC2s that survived that we could see today. So interesting history, but you know, they ran from basically 1919 all the way up to 47, so they had a good run. So they obviously were a reliable engine. They did their job for what they were for, which was transferring for transfer runs and switching in the yards, right? So obviously they got replaced eventually when you know, railroads were getting away from steam and moving to diesel and everything else. But just a super cool engine and design. And Lionel has recreated this model right here based on the CC2, and they put a whole bunch of details inside this model, which is really neat. So they have a massive amount of detailing on this model, which is really nice. We'll go over. As far as the smoke features, they do have obviously the regular main stack fan-driven smoke. This has whistle steam on it, and it also has a third smoke feature, which is the blow-down steam. So again, there's not a lot of Lionel engines that have the blow-down steam. I mean, there are some, but it's not like every single legacy engine has blow-down on it and things like that. So again, an extra little smoke feature on here. They do have a lot of detail on this that I'll show you. Like, you can actually open up the front boiler hatch and actually the firebox door in the back for extra detail. So usually behind those there's nothing, right? But they actually put detail behind all these types of things. They got great detailing between the couplers, between the engine and the tender, for hoses and things like that. We've got cab interior that has enhanced detail in it. It's got glass. It has a fireman and an engineer in it, so it's got two figures. Obviously, it's got lighting. We've got front classification lights. We got rear marker lights on the tender. We got a headlight. We got a backup light, illuminated number boards, flickering firebox, the ash pan glow. Pretty much all the stuff we're used to today on legacy locomotives. And then back then, oh, and then they also have an actual electromagnetic front and rear coupler. Obviously, because this was used for switching and things like that, they put the magnetic one on the front here, which means they did lose one little detail. So on the bar here, there's no chain like we normally see on the scale couplers. But besides that, I think they felt they needed to have an electrocoupler on the front so you could actually use it for prototypical operation in the yard and stuff like that. So as far as the smoke, the sound features, right, has, you know, legacy rail sounds in it. Obviously it's got, this one has Fat Boy speakers. So we have the Fat Boy speakers in this particular one. So again, another sort of an enhancement for the Vision line. And then they have this thing they call True Rail steam features, which are all the sounds that go with the blowdown and the whistle steam and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So they sort of synchronize it all together. They have upgraded dialogue in this one. And then, of course, you get the quilling whistle and the bell just like before. But this one has one of the just the neatest features that I think Lionel has ever done on their engines, and that of course is the swinging bell right here in the front. So that is always a favorite every time I see that. There's very few Lionel engines that actually have the swinging bell. They all have bells like this, right? But not ones that actually swing in synchronization to the bell sounds. So I think the Vision Line 700E Hudson, right? That has the swinging bell. I know my H10 has a swinging bell on it. This one has a swinging bell. I'm not sure of other ones. So if you guys remember other Lionel locomotives besides those three that have swinging bells, put it down in the comments so I can refresh my memory. But off the top of my head, those are the three I know right now that have the actual swinging bell on them. So that's pretty cool feature. Everybody likes it when they sees it. So yeah, so let's take a closer detailed look at the engine itself. So let's start looking at the detail. As you can see, there's just a ton of detail on this particular engine. Sometimes I think the newer Vision Line engines actually have less detail than what they used to do. I don't know, it feels like almost like the older Vision Lines, they had more stake in, and the newer ones are almost like I don't know, just like a name on the packaging anymore, and they don't go as far above and beyond as they used to. But this thing is just incredibly detailed on the front here. This is the little hatch I was talking about right here, which opens up, so the front of the boiler opens up, and inside there we actually have detail inside there. So actually, let me get a little light so you can see it. There you go. So hopefully you can see that, but it's got some little sort of radiator piping detail inside there. So they didn't have to do that, but these are the kind of like extra little things they do on some of these Vision Line engines. And then of course we've got here, we've got our classification marker lights in the front here, right? We've got a headlight, of course. And the front here, swinging bell, which we'll see later. A lot of look at all these separately applied details here. Just a ton of them. Builder plates, and of course the all the linkage down here on the drivers. Really neat when this is actually running around the layout. This does 4 chuff per revolution, as prototypical on these. Look at all this like piping going down the side here. Just tons of it everywhere. Okay, and then we got our figures here, engineer and fireman. So obviously we're going to have main stack smoke right here. There'll be whistle steam coming out here. That's actually filled under this little dome right here. It does have an opening hatch right here. You can pull it up. It's nice, it stays in position, so it sort of snaps up and down. That's kind of cool. So inside the cab you can see we got the figures. There's a lot of cab detail in here, but this little the firebox door actually opens up right here to reveal the firebox glow, right? So they have an opening and closing door here, which is kind of neat. It does have you can see right here, step plate between the engine and tender. Swings up and then you put that let it go once the tender is connected. So that's kind of cool. It does have a wireless infrared connection right there. Got glass windows. Probably can't see it, but you do have glass windows. This one also has opening and closing cab doors on it, which is kind of nice. You can see it's got windows on the doors themselves right here. But yeah, these open and close right here. So that's a neat little feature that a lot of engines don't have on the steamers, right? So you can open and close the 2 doors on both sides right here. So they added that little feature on too. But overall, it's not an incredibly long engine, right? So that's what's nice about it on a layout like mine. So So I get to have a articulated compound engine, and it's gonna look halfway decent on 072 curves. So. All right, and then we got the tender itself. I love these tenders with the coal loads that kind of stick up above here. You've got walkways going across. We got handrail grab irons. There's a real coal load, obviously. And we got some hatches in the back here, which actually have all our controls for volume. So your sounds and volume. Again, more separately applied details on the back here. Really nice. Electrocoupler in the back. We've got rear markers. We got a rear reverse light on the back here. So really nice. This color also here is really, I think, accurate. A lot more accurate than they've been doing lately with this sort of Tuscan color. So it's not that bright red. Looks really the linkage is just, I can't imagine changing a traction tire on here, so that's not going to be fun whenever that is required. There's so much linkage, I'm going to have to take a million pictures before I try to take that apart. Yeah, so absolutely just an astounding, beautifully detailed model. They did just a great job in this back then. And we're going to actually get it ready here to fire it up and see how it sounds, see the smoke effects and everything else. Now, I will say just a quick tip. If you do buy an engine like this that's been sitting in the box for a decade or so, and you know, nobody's ever run it or touched it or done anything with it, obviously the first thing you want to do is make sure that you lubricate it, right? Because obviously grease and oil can get gummy and sticky and gooey over time when it sits there and does nothing. So just make sure everything's lubricated nicely. Don't over lubricate, just a little lubrication is all you need. And then what I do is on the smoke units, what I do is I'll usually add about, I don't know, 15 to 20 drops in all the smoke units, and I let them sit for a couple hours. And the reason I do that is because the wicks are probably bone dry, and if I just throw 20 drops in there, it's probably going to just run right through the wick down to the bowl, bottom of the bowl, and then I'm just giving the wick a chance to actually absorb it. Because that's one of the reasons, like if you have a engine that's been sitting around for a long time, never been turned on, and you just put some smoke fluid in it, and then you immediately turn on the smoke units and, you know, put them on high and everything like that, that's, you know, a good chance you're going to probably char the batting, because it's just, it hasn't had time to really absorb it, right? Because the batting's like a totally piece, that's like a piece of dry toast, right? And you're adding water to it, so you got to give it a little bit to soak it all up and really get through all the batting. That way you won't char it when you fire it up. So that's what I usually do. I just give it a couple hours. I just let it sit on the layout and go do something else. So we're gonna like get this all prepped and ready to go, and then we will come back and fire it up and see what it sounds like, see the smoke features, the swinging bell and all that stuff, and then we'll give it a run around the layout. Another thing, which is the switches, all the switches that control the smoke units on and off and everything, are under the big dome in the back here, right in front of the cab. So, and it's funny it's funny the way things change over time, isn't it? Because of course all the modern ones have actual words now, and this is all pictures. So you have to, it's just diagrams of stuff of, you know, the same diagram, only one with a red sort of cross through it to tell you it's off or on, right? But you have to know what each of the symbols mean. So kind of funny the way things change. But again, blast from the past. And yet one more feature I forgot. Yeah, so in the tender right here, the way they worked it is this is magnetic, and this whole thing just kind of pops off right here. And this is where if you wanted to put the 9-volt battery for the, make sure the rail sounds don't drop out over your switches and things like that, you can put it right in here. Makes it super convenient. This is super heavy right here, so it's not going to move, and it has 4 magnets right around here. So again, I like this, the way they sort of set this whole locomotive up. I wish they would do stuff like that for some of the newer ones if they could, where you could just make these large magnetic pieces that it's easy to get into things and not have to unscrew things and take things apart. But yeah, that's one of the features that if you wanted to put the battery in there, you could, to keep your rail sounds from dropping out. All right, if you get this engine, the whistle steam has a fill right here, but this actually is the fill for both the whistle steam and the blowdown. So if your whistle steam or blowdown is getting weak, then this is where you want to fill it. The blowdown does not come off the main stack. The main stack's just by itself. So just keep that in mind. There's a little dome cover right here that has a little magnet. Keeps it on right there. All right, let's fire up and see what happens here. Of course, we have our little swinging bell. It's so neat. Okay, forgot to put the tender on. That's going to be a problem. So hold on. All right, let's try this again. On this are really great. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but so let's see, here's the whistle steam. It's hard to see under my white backgrounds here, but it's coming out of there pretty good. And then we have the blowdown steam effect. which has the matching sounds to go with it, so that's pretty cool. Of course, you've got the swinging bell. Can't beat that. And then there's crew talk in motion and not in motion, but not in motion.
SE-8183, you can take the lead. Over. Copy, Yardmaster. Cleared to full. 8183 out.
So that's kind of nice. It has the actual road number in the dialogue.
SE-8183, hold it for a clear lead. Over. SE-8183, you can take the lead. Over. Copy, Yardmaster. Cleared to full. 8183 out.
So it's got the typical crew talk. I've got the, if we play this sound right here, it's the water injector. So that sounds pretty cool also. And then, of course, we've got 4 chuffs per revolution as it's running. I did notice a couple little features once it's lighted up here. You can see on the front headlight, if the camera would focus, but those are lighted number boards. So, sort of right here. So I know it doesn't want to focus, but those are lighted number boards on both sides of the headlight. And they put them on both sides of the reverse light here too. So right there's number boards on both sides of that. So that's kind of cool. You got the dual color markers on the rear here, green and red. Of course there's the reverse. So, and then you've got your markers on the front here, same thing. Classification light, so really cool. Alright, so we're going to give the CC2 some class here. Something it deserved all those years and never got, just transferring stuff and running around the yard. And we're going to let it pull some actual congressional passenger cars, like it should have had. So let's go ahead and give it a run.
Acknowledged. Leading on clearance. 8183 out. Betsy, 8183 here. Hoping to make our cuts. Over. SE-8183, and you can take the lead. Over. Acknowledged. Cleared to full. 8183 out. for a clear lead. Over.
Pepsi 8183, you can take the lead. Over.
Roger that. Clear to move. 8183 out. Work's done. 8183 out.
Okay guys, well that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video on the Pennsylvania Vision Line CC2 and all its tiny bit of history that went with it, but super cool engine. If you're looking for a sort of a articulated type engine that is not too gigantic like the Union Pacific Big Boy and you want something smaller for your layout, this is actually a really good model. It's absolutely stunning with its details. They really went overboard with this one. Even for things like the firebox door and the front boiler cover and everything like that, and having the detail behind those, just really nice. This thing smokes like a Banshee. I can't believe how well it smokes for such a smaller type of engine. And something I noticed, which is really cool, is when you hold the shutdown button for the extended period, it actually automatically does the blowdown at the same time. So that's a cool feature too, because you get the extra sounds and you get the blowdown without having to hit another key. So another cool feature. So yeah, swinging belt, can't beat that. You've got whistle, steam, smoke, and blowdown. So you got three main smokes features on here. Fat Boy speaker. This thing sounds fantastic, so loud, and especially on the when you get the effects going on the chuffs and everything, really nice. So can't believe it, 13-year-old model, and it's just it's one of the best out there. So if you if you happen to see one of these things and you're wondering, should I pick it up, should I not, I can say it's definitely worth the money. So so that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, make sure you put any comments down below, especially if you know any more information on the CC2s, because I'd like to know more if there is any out there. The internet is pretty sparse on the history of these particular engines. So, and yeah, and that's it. So make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace, guys.